Welcome back, everybody, to the Remote Online Notary Network. Today is February 1st, 2022. My name is Catherine Cabrera. I'm an online commission notary in the state of Texas. And today I have Keisha Smith Robinson. She's amazing. I have been looking up to her for years. She really is a pioneer who has conquered remote online notarization, and she's in Virginia. So I'm so thrilled, Keisha, that you agreed to do this interview. I think we've been talking about this for over a year. And finally, I got you all to myself. So please tell me, how did you start and get your original notary commission? What year was it? Do you have a story? Tell me everything.
Well, thank you, Catherine, for having me. And like you said, it's been a long time coming. We've been trying to set this interview up for quite a while now. As you mentioned, I am a commission notary here in Virginia. I've branded myself as After Hours VA. So I became a traditional notary in 2012 and then obtained my e-notary commission in 2015. And so, as you guys know, Virginia was one of the first states to legalize remote notarization. So I kind of jumped on board full ahead of COVID and that sort of thing. I actually became a notary because I wanted to make myself more marketable to attorneys. So here's a secret: VA and After Hours VA actually stands for virtual assistant. And so starting a virtual assistant business. I wanted to market to attorneys, and I said, hey, what will make myself more marketable? Let me become a notary. Well, when I started researching notary, it went down the realm of loan signing agent, general notary work, and that sort of thing. And I became definitely much more interested in that. So over the years, the VA just turned into Virginia. So I'm okay with
Oh,
choosing that business name.
well, that works. That morphed very beautifully. So you became a Ron in 2015, which, I mean, this is incredible. So I think, yeah, Virginia was the first with online notarization, and it wasn't. I'm in Texas. It wasn't legal in Texas until 2018. So you have so much more experience than the typical online notary who's just out there in the U.S. Virginia definitely gave you a leg up to be able to get in early on that. What was the impetus? Like, what got you started to want to do the online notarization piece? Was it because you were working virtually?
I just started researching it, and the more and more I researched, I found that no one really knew about it. And I said, "Hey,
Yeah.
I have to get on board." So I reached out to an e-notary here. He was, I think, the third electronic notary in the state of Virginia.
Oh,
And I
wow.
said, "Hey, I just need a little bit of help. Tell me what I need to do." I kind of understood the concept of remote notarization by reading the handbook, but as far as like the platforms and vendors and that sort of thing, very confusing early on. And when I finally got across that threshold to apply to become an e-notary, I reached out to the Secretary of State and I said, hey, do you keep a list of e-notaries? Because I'd love to connect with other people that are actually doing this. And they said, no, but at that point in time, and I guess in 2015, there were less than 100 e-notaries in the state of Virginia. And
Wow.
so from that there, I just tried to, well, I attempted to market Ron on my website. I had a hodgepodge of, things going on because the Secretary of State wasn't clear on what
Mhm.
platforms to use, what you actually needed. We knew we needed a digital
Yeah.
certificate, and that was a little bit straightforward. But other than that, how do we put the pieces together?
Right.
And, at that time, there weren't a lot of platforms at all.
Mm-mm.
There was Notary Cam that was out. And so one day a request came through my website, said they needed a run. And, I got all excited and that sort of thing. And I had my third party video, and I was in a space where it had firewall. So the
Ah,
video kept blocking and that sort of thing. Well, that session turned into being a person who is now known as the founder of Notarize. And they said, hey, we're reaching out to you because you're the only notary we can find that is marketing Ron and is actually an e-notary, and they have it on their website. And so that kind of grew from there. So I
no
have to pay
way.
homage to Notarize because that's where I started my Ron career. So I helped beta test the platform, which it is what it is today, and kind of grew
It's
up there.
massive today. Yes. Wow. I did
So
not realize that you beta tested. I knew that you were with Notarize early on and that you were doing notarizations, but I didn't realize you beta tested. So you helped them craft that platform into what it is today.
myself and another group of Virginia notaries, I can't take all the credit, but I did have a helping hand in bringing on kind of like the first team of Virginia notaries. And again, this was end of 2015. They launched in January of 2016, and just getting people on board, it wasn't easy.
Right.
I reached out to my notary network here and I'm like, hey, it's a new platform.
Yeah.
This is what they're all about. I think it
Mhm.
would behoove us to become e-notaries, get on board early, being, instead of being reactive like we were doing through COVID. And it was
Right.
just hard getting, notaries to understand because I was met with, oh, you know, there's not going to be traditional notaries anymore. Computer is taking over, which is,
Mm,
far from the truth. So,
right. Right. There's definitely a market for each sort of subset. And I know exactly what you mean, but I think since we've read that there's over 1.25 billion notarizations in the United States every year, I really think that half could be absorbed online and there would still be plenty of business for the notaries who are acting in person. You know, I always heard of the 80/20 rule. 20% of the real estate brokers out there get 80% of the business. It's true with notarization too, because there you were marketing on your website, the only one they could find, the only one. And that's, and now still, even notaries who offer online notarization services, the vast majority of them do not have a website. The vast majority don't even mention it on their directory profiles when they're on SnapDocs or uh, Notary Rotary or whatever. The word has to be out there. You have to be sort of shouting from the rooftops before anybody's going to be able to find you.
mhm.
So that's just incredible. I did not know all that, Keisha. That's amazing. All right. So right now, I know you have a full-time job as well. But in terms of your traditional notary work and your RON notary work, what's the kind of percentage split?
So the mix is about 75% Ron, 25% traditional in person.
All right.
And so I still do traditional in person loan signings and general notary work.
Mm-hmm. I've tell me if you feel the same. I found since I do online notarization and I do it for the better part of the day. It's probably right now it's filling up probably about 75% of my time. And I keep marketing because I want it to cover 100%. But with the in-person opportunities that come my way, I feel like online notarizations let me be very, very selective. So I do not need to jump at, a $41 hand service subpoena to somebody. But if I get a really great, anything from Amrock, oh, I'm grabbing that. Like
Mhm.
I'm going to take that. And I just make sure it's blocked on my calendar. So I have time to do the online notarizations before and after that. But I, I think I'm becoming close to where you are, 75% online and then the nice ones, the nice in-person ones. I could take that. All right. So you've worked on a lot of platforms. I think when you and I first met, when we were first chatting, that you were on Doc Verify. I was too. I'm shaking my desk. I better stop doing that. So I know you've used Doc Verify. I know you've used and well helped build. Let's call it the way it is. Notarize from the beginning as a beta tester. Any other platforms you're using?
Yeah, so I have experience with secured signing. That's probably my main independent platform. Nexus Clear Sign, of course, working with that platform through Amrock and the Closing Exchange. Um, let's see, Pavaso, you mentioned Notarize. I've demoed a ton. I've demoed eNotary Log, One Notary, Live Notary. So
Hmm.
I love to like vet different platforms.
Right.
I don't have a favorite, but I'm in favor of looking at all the pros and cons that the different platforms have to offer. So I think
Yes.
we're in a unique position because, again, when I started in 2015, there was just one I could think of. And
Yeah.
then I think Doc Verify may have been the leading independent platform. So that's why I
Hmm.
started out with them. But love to see the the new platforms coming up with new features and that sort of thing.
Definitely. Each platform has its specialties, kind of its personality, and they're definitely geared differently to different end users, consumers. So like when you mentioned Pavaso and Nexus ClearSign, they're geared toward title. They are built for title.
Absolutely.
And I think I'd say the same for Notary Cam as well. Notarize is more of a jack of all trades. One Notary is very heavy to the attorneys and small businesses, as well as the notaries. One Notary is a slam dunk if you don't want to buy anything. If you want to sign up and try it
Mhm.
and see how it goes, because all you need to do is supply your own things like your digital certificate and your e-seal. I'm going to try a secured signing. One thing I like a lot about secured signing site is that they have a calculator that lets you put in your hypothetical transaction. You say, I have 3 signers. We have 2 seals. We have all this, how many documents, and then it will tell you what it's going to cost. And figuring out all of the little ancillary charges, that'll take you longer than the notarization itself. So I really appreciate that they built that calculator on their site. It makes everything very, very clear. There's nothing hidden. There's no surprises. There's no, why was my card charged 14 times for this? So I do like that about secured signing. I'm going to try them and see how it is too. All right.
Absolutely. I think cost is very important, especially with the independent run,
Mhm.
going in, what makes the most financial business sense when
Right.
picking a platform,
Right.
especially as it relates to the cost of the KBA credential analysis, monthly subscriptions, annual subscriptions.
Yes, and I'm not gonna lie, when I very first got started, I definitely lost money on a few, notarizations before I figured out what was going on because it just was not clear.
Hmm.
So there were a few when I very first started, I did property tax loans. It's a unique thing in Texas. You can, borrow money against your home to pay the property taxes because our taxes are
Wow.
high. And, for those contracts that were about 55 pages, I didn't really know my initial cost. I had just gotten started and I told them, I'll do each one for $55. I'm not kidding. I had some that were costing 68, $72 to do, but I didn't want to go back on my word to them. And so I lost money for a little while before I got it all straightened out and found a platform where I was not uh, getting into the red. So you've got to be careful. All right, so let's see. So I was going to ask you about, do you find your own clients? But obviously you do with your website, or does a particular platform send you clients directly, or do you work a combination of both? What's your typical online notarization day look like?
Definitely a combination of both. I'm still a 1099 contractor with the Notarized platform, and the joy about that, it is a 24-hour shop, so you can log in when you want and do how much work you want to do at that particular time.
Mhm.
For the most part, if I'm on the independent side, people I find my own clients. I also work directly with one like real estate attorney that will send me powers of attorneys and they allow me to schedule directly with the client. They send me the client's information. I call, schedule the appointment, that sort of thing. And then also, when I'm getting calls for general notary work, I attempt to convert that to a Ron session.
Mhm.
I say, hey, do you know you can do this online? Do you have access to a laptop? Try to gauge them to see if they will be a candidate for Ron, because let's face it, all customers may not be a candidate for Ron. They may not have a scanner to scan a document or a laptop with a webcam or
Mhm.
valid ID to scan and that sort of thing. So trying to convert that general notary work
Yep.
into Ron has been very, very successful because a lot of people still don't know that it exists. So once you tell
Mhm.
them, they're like, wait, I don't have to leave home? No, you don't.
That is so true. So many people are still surprised to find out that they can do this online, especially folks who are overseas. I mean, they're not getting the same ads when they log in and, chill out on the internet that we are. I mean,
Mhm.
we've all gotten every online Google ad there is from onlinenotary.us and One Notary and Notarize, but they're not getting those over there. And then when we tell them that they can do it online, they're shocked because they just haven't had that marketing hit them like it's been hitting us. So it's a whole new day. All right.
Absolutely.
hmm So I know you have your website, and we're going to share it here below your side of the video. But what about a Google My Business page? Do you have one of those?
I do have Google My Business. Google My Business has always worked for, general notary work.
Hmm.
Customers are getting on Google, hey, I need a notary near me. And then, it always worked in the traditional sense. And then when I became a Ron, just adding that extra layer on when I get that
Yep.
phone call to say, hey, we can do this online,
Hmm.
if you want to. So I definitely recommend having the Google My Business, and then for other income streams as well, if you do
Yep.
apostille work or, loan signings, that sort of thing. Um,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
I was just going to say people do business with who they know, like, and trust, and you have to have that internet presence. There's times when people post on Facebook, hey, I'm looking for a notary, and I get tagged. And the person that tagged me
Yep.
may have never used my service before, but because I talk about being a notary so much, I have a Facebook notary page. So it's the same. Word of mouth is still king in this business, I believe.
That is so true. It is so true. Well, I'm glad we spoke about the Google My Business site because I'm asking about that in every interview with a notary I do because so many notaries still are not aware that is a free marketing tool. And like Keisha said, it is really centered around local. So I can see when I log into my Google My Business, I can see the analytics. I can see who searched me and for who asked for directions on the map to see how to find me. And also, it shows me that I get more traffic to my free Google My Business site than I do to my paid website that has been up nearly 2 years now. And that's phenomenal considering the Google My Business was free. That means I could have been doing this business all along, probably with half of the number of converted sessions that I've had, but I could have been doing it all along without spending a penny on the formal website. So do not delay if you are a notary. Do not delay starting that Google My Business website. That's exactly what it is. You're just going to go and do Google My Business and then enter your if you want to run it as your name, this Catherine Cabrera Notary Public. Mine is Catherine Cabrera Texas Online Notary Public Services, I believe. But that Google My Business is solid gold. So make sure
It
you get
is.
yours started. All right, let me see. Okay, so now we're into the tip zone. What tips, what gems do you have to share with other aspiring remote online notaries?
Hmm. Let's see. Now, I always get the question, either I'm looking to become an e-notary or I just became a Ron.
Mhm.
What platform should I get on? And the
Yeah.
tips I'd like to offer are things you want to look at when you're vetting a platform. We talked about cost a little bit ago, but is the platform state approved? Because what I find is that some Ron states will give you a list of vendors that are approved, and
Yep.
then some states like Virginia may say, well, we're going to leave it up to the notary to decide, but the platform must fit in this certain criteria.
Mhm.
And what I've also found is just because your state approves a platform doesn't mean that platform is onboarded in your state. So starting with your Secretary of State's website first, see what they have in print and in the handbook to say, yes, you're able to use Nexus or yes, you're able to use Notarize, and then
Yep.
go into that particular platform to see if it's onboarding in your state.
Mhm.
Um, Also, when you're vetting a platform, look at what type of support and training that they're offering.
Mhm.
It's nothing like being in a session and you need help and you realize that, oh, support is available up into Pacific time or Central Standard Time, and you're on
Right.
Eastern Time. So, knowing what type of support and training that the platform has. Also, most importantly, this will probably be number one when you're vetting the platform, making sure you know what their business model is and what your goals are as a Ron. Because
Mhm.
as you know, most platforms or some platforms give you work. You don't
Mhm.
have to do any marketing. You just sit there, answer calls, but
Mhm.
that means that you're sharing in the fees. So they're paying you as a 1099 contractor. And
Mhm.
then some platforms are strictly independent. You do all your own marketing, you bring all of your own clients. How does that look for fees? What does your state say you're allowed to charge versus how much you're going to be paying monthly to, a platform? So all of those things you definitely have to think about in the cost, because I see a lot of notaries that become Ron and they say, hey, I want to do 100% of Ron. I need a platform, but they don't have any clients yet. So you definitely want to have, some sort of marketing plan in place, whether you want to do contract work or independent or both, like a combination of what I do. You definitely want to have that in mind, because I see a lot of people sign up for, Doc Verify, and they say, hey, I haven't gotten clients yet. Well, Doc Verify doesn't give you clients. The neat thing about Doc Verify, I will say, they do have that notary board where people can find you, but their business model is to not bring you clients or, service their particular clients. So knowing that model, that business model. And then I guess lastly, access to the platform. Definitely when you're vetting a platform, you want to be sure how long are they keeping your videos, your e-journal, what type of access do you have if you were to leave that platform. Like you mentioned, both of us started out with Doc Verify, and as you know, when you sign off with Doc Verify, you're responsible for, downloading all those journal entries and all those videos one by one, before your access is fully, taken away. So knowing what type of access you get, in the state of Virginia, we have to keep our videos and e-journals for 5 years. So I just make it a best practice of whatever platform I'm on, whether, they keep it for 10 years or they keep it for 7 days. I just make it a process of downloading the video and the journal after each session. I know it's a pain, but I just do it to protect myself.
And so you can sleep at night. Yeah, I completely understand. That's great. So I'm sure you have a pre-launch checklist for every online notarization that you do, where the clients come to you and you need to get them on board. And then, so when you close out your sessions, when they're completed, you then have another sort of a post-closing checklist, almost like you're the funder. And then you go through that and make sure you've got the video downloaded, your journal entry saved, probably anything you need for like tax filing. If you gotta, like, I'll get a receipt if I paid for the notarization up front and then I'm invoicing somebody. That happens a lot. If an attorney sends me someone, I'll pay for the client's notarization, and then after the client's notarization is successful, I'll send an invoice over to the attorney for them to pay me. And attorneys are funny. Some of them are like, oh yeah, I want to PayPal you. Some are like, I want to Venmo you. And some are say, I'm going to send you a check in 33 days. And then it arrives and it's a handwritten envelope, and you never know what you're going to get. But but so yes, I completely agree with you. And I should probably work on my post-closing checklist a little bit. It's a little haphazard. At the end of the day, I'll say, oh yeah, I need to send him an invoice. I've probably forgotten to send an invoice before between you and me.
Absolutely.
And the
Sometimes you
whole,
get that busy. So it
yeah.
depends. So my regular real estate attorney I work for, if I know I'm doing something for them, I may go into my Square account and do a draft invoice. So as soon as it's done, I'm hitting the submit button.
Yep.
Well, that's if
Um,
you don't have them back to back like you do.
oh, I wanted to ask you kind of a technical question. So here in Texas, we have certificates of authenticity. It's something you physically mail to, stapled to the printed out Ron documents so that it can be recorded in rural counties. Does Virginia have anything like that? Do you ever
We
generate certificates? Okay.
we do not have that. I know
Okay.
working on the DV platform, they included that as part of the session, but
Okay.
we do not have that in Virginia.
Okay, got it. I was just curious. I think Texas is sort of the only place that has this. All right, let's see. So you shared your tips with other aspiring online notaries. All right, and you've shared some successful marketing tips as well. Your website, your Google My Business. Are there any other marketing tips? And I know you can't give it all away, but are there any other marketing tips that you would share with other online notaries who might be kind of stuck?
And again, I'm no marketing guru, but I guess this what has worked for me. Just making sure that you're updating all of your existing profiles to say that you are a Ron.
Yep.
Even if you haven't nailed down the best platform, kind of listing in your profile what platforms you have experience with.
Mhm.
You'd be surprised, there are probably title companies and lenders out there that they may give you access to a platform they already have if they
Yep.
know that you have some experience with listing those platforms in your profile. So your Notary Cafe and your SnapDocs, and updating those existing platforms. And then also there are online directories specific to Ron's.
Mhm.
Online Notary Directory. Did I say
Yep.
that correctly?
You did.
I'm a member of that directory. Just making sure your profiles are updated.
Yep.
Letting everyone know that you are Ron and what your experience is. During the height of COVID, and I know some people kind of scuff at email, but I went to the Virginia Land Title Association.org's website, and I got a list
Yes.
of email addresses of title companies and people in those offices. And I sent out a blast email, and then the subject line, I said, "Hey, are you looking for a Ron expert?" And again, this was during the height of COVID. So everyone was rushing around trying to get documents notarized and
Yes.
didn't know how they were going to do it. And, I will say that that was a bit of success. I did get some ping back saying, "Hey, yeah, let's talk. Let's see where this goes." And then I played up my experience in that email, but I also offered other resources, especially to smaller offices who either had never heard of Ron, don't know where to start. Again, I plugged Notarize because they have a
Mhm.
great onboarding kind of product for title companies and real estate attorneys. So I plugged
Mhm.
their website to say, "Hey, if you need more resources, maybe start here first."
Mhm.
So even if I'm not your go-to, Ron
Right.
expert, here are some resources you can follow up on. And I think that worked pretty well. I found one company out of that. Then also I had a few title companies add me to their Pavaso account because, as you know, Pavaso is a
Yes.
kind of a title title
Yes.
platform. It's hard to get connected with that. So had some success with that. And I feel like each state should have their own um, title organization website where they list that information, because you have to be licensed by the state. So
Right.
that information is kept on file. So that's what pretty much helped me, updating profiles, having that email blast to title professionals. Now, I should do another one with attorneys in my state. I haven't tried that yet, but I feel like that would be successful as well. Marketing to people who are not loan signing specific, because I
Right.
think that's where the issue comes in. We think we only can do Ron for loan signings, but there are attorneys out there. They're different people who need our services.
I do not market that I do these late at night, but I do have a criminal attorney who will call me when it's an emergency. And I mean, she'll call me at 9:30 and she'll say, "Hey, I have a guy right now. Can you do him right now?" And I'll say, "Yep, baby's asleep. Let's do it." And it's something where they can get out.
Mhm.
I mean, and she needs it right then to submit. So in those cases, yes, those local attorneys, they get to know you. I mean, she sends me a lot of folks. And there's some other attorneys who found me from my Google My Business. There's an attorney just down the street. I never marketed to them. I should have. I should have brought them a flyer or something. Just down the street. And they just found me on the Google My Business because they were looking for notaries nearby who they were going to send to his house. And he just hopped on the laptop and we did it right then. The invoice then.
Awesome.
And I thought, well, shame on me for not getting to them first, but I was thrilled that they found me through the Google My Business. All right, we've made it all sound glowing and wonderful, and we just love our lives. But you and I both know that Ron can be frustrating. The technology can be frustrating. Is there anything particularly frustrating, and maybe not the technology, but just anything about the current state of online notarization? Anything you can think of that just kind of you think it could be better?
I think the fact that we always say, we can notarize from anywhere, anyone, all over the US, out of the country. And
Mhm.
while that may be true, we all know that when it comes to foreign nationals and KBA,
Yep.
that seems to be an issue. So having a better way to identify foreign nationals, or at least having a platform that has a database that can, work around having a U.S. Social Security number.
Yeah, that's true. So you're in Virginia, I believe. Can you do biometrics or you have an alternative to the KBA? What is it?
So, pre-March 2021, we used to have an alternative, but our law was
Oh,
updated in March of 2021. And so our
okay.
handbook says we still can use, well, we can use identity proofing, but we have to use two forms,
Okay.
and that's KBA and credential analysis. And so
Ah,
I think a lot of states still think we have the workaround of bypassing the
I thought it.
KBA,
I didn't
and
know.
we can do it. Like, we're allowed to use two credible witnesses, so that seems to work. But
Mhm.
how many foreign nationals do you know that know two U.S. citizens that's willing to get online, at 7 p.m. to vouch for them in a Ron session? So it gets kind of convoluted. It
Yeah.
can it can be done, but it's just, it's sometimes it's sort of a mess the way we have to do it. Now, my
Mhm.
interpretation may be a little bit different. I am not an attorney, but our handbook does say two forms of identity proofing, and to me that meant KBA and credential analysis. They do have that biometrics in there, but I'm not for certain I understand that completely.
I don't. We can't use it in Texas, so I never really dug deep. But I did see that Amy Seitz of Cyberize It. She's been offering biometrics training. I don't know all what it entails, but I think that she's probably a resource for that for any folks who can
Definitely.
do the biometrics. All right, thank you. That was a great answer. All right, Keisha. So I know 2021 was a big year for you. I believe you were invited to speak at some very respected formal events. Tell us about the ones that you were invited to via Ron's subject matter experts at.
Absolutely. So my very first big one was with NEMA. Um, they had the first online virtual, I guess, session,
Yep.
and that was a lot of fun. I was part of a notary panel of other Ron experts in the industry. A lot of fun sharing ideas. Um, was able to be in rooms with platform providers and, different people from the mortgage industry. So lots of fun, lots of sharing of ideas.
Mhm.
Um, the second conference I was a part of was Ron Online 21, that was put on by, I still call him Kentucky John, but put on by John Holder. And my session was on tools of the trade for online digital notaries, and that was a lot of fun. Again, connecting with, subject matter experts from other states as it relates to Ron. So was very excited about that, being a
Oh yeah.
participant in that.
That's fantastic. I saw a bit of Ron Summit 21, but it was right when my nanny's grandmother got ill and I had the baby. So I really could only be there like 3 hours. I wanted to be there the entire week that it was running, but gurgle, gurgle, cry, cry. It wasn't working out. But that's awesome. Of course, I bet you were like number one on John's speed dial to call when he was putting together that Ron Summit. And I teased him mercilessly because that thing was huge and it ran for hours and hours and hours. He had so much going on. I said, John, you did not sleep that entire week. I already know. I know you didn't. And he said, it'll be a while before I run that again. I'm not surprised. That was a big deal.
I
So,
know, definitely just watching the replays, I was in awe. I'm like, he had awesome group of people, and,
yes.
even platforms were able to, debut their products, and,
Mhm.
other notaries around the world was able to see, just a different
Yes.
opinion about Ron.
Yes, I really enjoyed the Notary Cam one that Rick Triola was on. He who started Notary Cam, and he made me laugh so hard when he said that if he
Mhm.
had known it would have taken 20 years to get to this point, he's not sure that he would have actually chased it down. And then I had fun because I got to run the One Notary demo. So I got to do the One Notary demo and
Yep.
show everybody how easy it was to sign and get online and all of that. And it was super fun. All right. Well, I am so thrilled that we finally got to do this. Do you have any final words of wisdom to share with notaries all over the US?
Let's see, not sure if it's wisdom, but I will say that if you are in a state where Ron is legal, I really encourage you to become a Ron. You definitely want to add Ron as a notary income stream. You
Mhm.
want to look at it that way. So definitely, if you're in the state with Ron, I definitely encourage you to become a e-notary. And then also, with that being said, it takes a great or good notary to become a great loan signing agent or a great Ron. So just knowing your basic notarial laws, having that in place will take you a long way. So
So if you enjoyed hearing from Keisha today, Keisha is on Clubhouse a lot. She's a great contributor to rooms on Clubhouse. And if you haven't experienced Clubhouse yet, it's an app you put on your phone and it's all audio. So no need to do your hair or makeup. You can just join a conversation on Clubhouse. And if you're interested in things about a notary public theme, then you'll get alerts if you set that up for being alerted about notary rooms that pop up. So Keisha, what is your handle on Clubhouse? I've just
uh,
blanked on mine. I think it's Texas Online Notary, but I gotta
I
check.
know it may be under After Hours VA
Okay, and
or
I
you.
will put both of our Clubhouse names below the video in the video since it's not like we usually call up people and tell them. It's usually something we text over or invite them to join Clubhouse
Mhm.
directly. All right, so I will definitely chat with you on Clubhouse if I don't talk to you anytime sooner than now. But thank you so much for sharing your expertise. You are definitely the most proficient, experienced online notary that I know, and I am so thrilled you came on here today. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
Find an online notary to complete your online notarization. Search the Online Notary directory to find your verified professional online notary. Online Notary Directory has hundreds of notaries ready to help you notarize your important documents. Book your notary today at www.onlinenotarydirectory.com.